Our guest today is often spoken of as the guiding hand behind the brothers Shivinder and Malvinder Singh. He's the man that they turned to when they sold Ranbaxy to Daiichi, making 100 billion rupee profit on that. Again, he was the man that they turned to when they went to buy Wockhardt hospitals, and more recently when they went and bought a 24% stake in Parkway. Now, if they do get control of Parkway, that will make them the biggest owners of hospitals in Asia. More important, he is the man that they relinquished control of their financial services firm, Religare to. Our guest today is Sunil Godhwani, the chairman and managing director of Religare. Sunil, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here. I saw the press conference when they announced, and you were wondering what the press conference was going to be about, and they announced that they were stepping out of being the face of the firm. Now, it's not very often that you have promoters who own 55%, Indian promoters, stepping back and allowing a non-family member to take over. What's it been like since April of when they stepped out?
Well, Senthil, in the introduction, you make me sound like a superhuman. I'm not a superman. Basically, Religare is composed of very simple, ordinary people. There are no star people here. We're all people that joined and we've worked together to build an organization which stands apart than others.
I just listened to what you've done. You made $100 billion.
It made it sound very good. I'd like to hear that more often. No, but I mean, Malvinder Shivinder have always been on the board of the company, and they were there. They were the guiding force, and Religare has always been a company that has been run from the board. So, from that perception, when they decided to step off the board, they felt that it has matured to a level where the day-to-day management of the company could be handed over to professionals.
They decided. Was it a day decision? Was it a joint decision? What was behind that decision?
Well, and, between Malvinder, Shivinder and myself, all our decisions are pretty much unanimous.
Okay.
So naturally, I was taken privy into the call. They wanted to do that for some time. It was a sense of timing also. Parkway had happened. Malvinder felt he had to devote a lot of time on healthcare. He was anyway devoting time in healthcare on Wockhardt since the acquisition. Now he wanted to move to Singapore. There were a larger agenda in healthcare that he felt he could devote his time to. And Religare on a standalone basis was pretty much run in an empowered manner by myself, by my colleagues around me who are pretty much empowered in the way we run the whole business. So it was a decision from maybe a perception of the market that a promoter is stepping on. But we have always said a promoter is not defined by the stakeholding. A promoter is more like defined by the sense of bonding, the passion he has for the company.
So you're as much as a promoter in that sense?
Yeah. I mean, not me. Everybody else in the company. Right. We all have put our lives, we have stakes into the company. So, I mean...
when such a deal happens, there is always over-analysis. All kinds of analysis comes out. Let me pick out two, and let me hear your comments on that. One is that they said that you wanted the family out because then it will make it easier for a banking license, because it's not then affiliated to a group. Two, the family had a history of selling out, so that they also want to sell this out. What is the truth?
Well, both is rightly said analysis, and people are trying to read into a thing which is not normal to them.
Yeah.
I think we somewhere trying to read into things which we should not read into much, Okay. And whether it helps a banking license easy, I don't know. Okay. I mean, why it would not.
But this wasn't
that was not
primary reason behind that.
There was nowhere the genesis.
Okay.
Neither was the genesis. The second you mentioned is basically a sell-off. Absolutely not.
Okay.
We are here to stay. The focus of the family is healthcare and financial.
Okay.
So both are here to stay. They are not for sell-offs.
Okay.
I think the primary motive was to give a message out to the industry that today we are forward-thinking. I mean, when Ranbaxy was sold, it was like an eye of a storm. Everybody said, "Why crown of the jewel crown being?"
Yeah.
But the question is, you need to be objective in decision making. You need to do things which are not normal. You need to be forward-looking. So they were forward-looking.
And this thing happens all over the world. It's just that in India you kind of get...
in India you get, sort of synchronized into this promoter mentality,
Yeah.
But look at abroad. I mean, there are financial organizations where the owners, the largest stakeholders, are not represented on the board.
Only the name remains on
the name remains.
So tell me, you said that now the focus of the group is healthcare and financial services. When did financial services become important? Because I know when you joined, and I'd like to ask you why you joined the company when you did, because it was a very, very small outfit. You told me just 18 people when you joined. Was then, when you joined, was the thinking then that we want to make this a financial powerhouse, or was it just another opportunity that you saw?
See, my family and their family has been friends for a couple of generations.
Okay.
I was asked to come on board prima facie because they had this financial services company. It was pretty small, and they had an intent to do something with it.
Okay.
There was an ambition there, but we did not have a roadmap.
Okay.
They needed somebody they could trust, somebody they could say is family to come on and head it
But you had
on a very focused
you
business.
just had the experience in
Yeah, leather exports, and I had absolutely no experience at all, and I didn't even practically know what a stock market is, what equity is, and I still don't know much about it today. But I don't think that's a limiting factor. That's actually an advantage, because what we did understand from day one, what I understood, was to run any business, you have two fundamentals. You have a team and you have proper processes. With these two fundamentals, anything is possible. When we got along, when I joined, I think it was 1st of August 2001, the idea was to put together a decent brokerage house. It was a small brokerage house. The focus was, let's get the systems into place.
Okay.
Let's organize what is there.
And at the time, the equity cult was just picking up.
Yeah, it was picking up. We had come out from the technology, the boom had finished.
Yeah.
It was not a great time for the equity markets, which gave us an opportunity to really regroup ourselves, to understand where do we want to go. But as we put the teams and system in place over the next 15 to 18 months since I joined, there was an ambition that was brewing among all of us, and we said, listen, we can do much more. We saw this industry not as a brokerage industry, we saw it as a financial services industry. So on day one, we have been, at least myself and a lot of my close colleagues have been very adverse. Anybody called us brokers or a brokerage house, because that sort of put you into one sort of a frame, one cask, you know. We said, no, we are not that. We are a financial services house. We are a diversified financial services house, and that is where we want to go. Then you have the firms like Goldman Sachs, you have Merrill Lynch, well, they're not there, but Lehman Brothers not there, Merrill Lynch sold out. But there are likewise very respectable MNCs, financial MNCs today, which we had known, but there was nobody there in that space with the Indian parentage. That was the ambition.
Okay. But were you being too ambitious? Even today, the question being asked about Religares, are you being too ambitious? Because your strategy is to go global. But critics would say, let them get their domestic business of critical size first. So today you've got a fairly large scale in security. You've got about 5-7% of the market. Mutual fund, you've got about 2%. You're fairly nascent in, your loan book is fairly small. You're fairly nascent in life insurance. What kind of size would you want? I mean, are you looking for a size in India before going out, or is it going to happen simultaneously?
I think let's address the question, what is called too ambitious? I don't think there is a norm or there is a measure that is too ambitious. You know, what is happening is you need to understand where the world is going. The concentration, the global map is changing. The concentration of capital and talent is changing today. Initially, we were only the receivers of capital and talent. Today, we are also the givers of talent, the givers of capital. So the entire dynamics of the world is changing. And you need to realign and recognize that. You need to understand that today, as India, where you are positioned today, there is an ability, there is a capability to go out and manage things what we did not have years back. But for that, you need to have the teams in place, the processes in place, and more importantly, the ambition and the passion. When we started out...
Okay, have you got all in place, or is it only the ambition, passion?
No, I think we got everything in place, but it's an evolving process.
Okay.
It's not going to happen, you know, there's a learning every time it happens. So you reach one benchmark and you up it, and you want to go to the next one. We started off with the brokerage house. I think we established ourselves with creating a pan-India reach. We were a northern, we never shifted a head office to Mumbai. We were Delhi-based. We spread out all over pan-India. I have personally traveled to majority of the offices that were set up. I mean, to the we focus on tier 2, tier 3 cities.
Okay.
You know, we broke up the country into 4 regions, north, south, east, west, and Mumbai, Gujarat as a separate region. And then we broke into sub-regions, states, and into cities and points. Once we got a strategy right in the brokerage sector, we said, listen, now we can expand into commodities, we can expand into lending, lending related to equities, lending related to non-equities. And then we got an opportunity to acquire an asset management company, which we did about a year and a half back, and we took it for, it was 3,000 crores under management. It's close to about 15,000 crores today in about a year and a half. And as we did that, we got into life insurance with Aegon. So majority of the businesses we are in today, we have some are growing, some are being invested in, and some are getting out of the yield curve.
How important is a retail banking license here at this stage? If you don't, if you get it, it'll be great. If you don't get it, what?
No, nothing happens.
Okay.
I mean, idea is if you have a retail banking license, it's good. You know, you need the access to the cheap CASA, so it is there. You can access to the cheap cash. But if it's not there, we got to act into place. You know, the way to look at it, the business in Religare is basically two things. It's a balance sheet and it's a non-balance sheet. The balance sheet being the consumer lending, the one that depends where you need a lot of cash flow and all. So for that, the banking license would come in very useful. We got the housing company there, which we bought from Maharishi. That's getting launched now. So there's a capital input that's going to happen over there. So the dedication is fully there to build those businesses in India. On the global side, there is a huge opportunity there today to get an investment banking business on the emerging markets.
Okay. I want to come to that because that's very interesting. You've got McKinsey to help you become an emerging market investment bank, but that's going to come after a very short break. Stay right there. We'll talk about Religare's ambitions abroad right after this break.